Imagine dropping a newborn deer into a field. Within minutes, it's trying to stand. A few hours later, it's already following its mother. Now imagine doing the same with a human baby. It can't crawl, it can't run, it can't even lift its own head. For months, it depends on someone else for almost everything. Compared to the young of most mammals, human babies seem unfinished, which is strange because humans became the most successful species the planet has ever seen. We built cities, crossed oceans, reached space. Yet we begin life as one of the most helpless creatures in the animal kingdom. That doesn't look like good engineering. It looks like a mistake. So why didn't evolution fix it? Why are human babies born so early, long before they're ready for the world? The answer isn't that evolution failed. It's that it was forced to make one of the biggest compromises in the history of our species. And that compromise may be the reason you're capable of understanding this video right now. The answer begins millions of years before the first cities, before farming, before language as we know it. Back then, our ancestors faced a problem that no other animal had. Their brains weren't staying the same size. They were getting bigger, slowly, generation after generation. A larger brain meant better memory, better planning, better communication, better tools. Every small increase made survival a little easier, but it also created an entirely new problem. Because babies don't stay in the womb forever. Eventually, they have to be born. And that's where evolution ran into a wall. Around the same time our brains were expanding, our ancestors were also changing the way they moved. Instead of walking on four legs, they began walking upright. That single change reshaped the entire skeleton. The spine, the hips, the legs, everything had to adapt to life on 2 feet. One part of the body changed more than almost any other: the pelvis. A narrower pelvis made walking and long-distance travel much more efficient. It helped our ancestors cover enormous distances across the African savanna, but it also made childbirth far more difficult. Now imagine what happened when these two evolutionary trends collided. Brains kept getting larger, the birth canal stayed relatively narrow. Every generation pushed closer to the limit. For a long time, scientists believed evolution had simply made a mistake. Today, most anthropologists see it differently. Evolution wasn't choosing between a good solution and a bad one. It was choosing between two bad solutions. One option was to keep babies inside the womb longer. That would allow the brain to develop further before birth. But eventually the baby's head would become too large to pass safely through the mother's pelvis. The other option was to send babies into the world earlier, before their brains had finished developing. Compared to the first option, it was the less dangerous choice. So that's exactly what happened. Human babies are, in a sense, born earlier in their development than almost any other primate. Not because pregnancy is unusually short. In fact, human pregnancy lasts about 9 months, which is fairly typical for a mammal of our size. The difference is what happens after birth. A newborn chimpanzee arrives with a brain that's already much closer to its adult size. A human baby doesn't. At birth, the human brain is only about a quarter of its final adult volume. Over the next few years, it grows at an astonishing pace. In other words, much of what would have happened before birth in many other mammals happens after birth in humans instead. And that's why the first years of a human life look so unusual. A newborn isn't simply small, it's still under construction. But being born unfinished created another unexpected advantage. Because a human baby is not born with a fully programmed brain. It's born with something much more valuable: flexibility. Many animals enter the world with a set of instincts already installed. A sea turtle knows where to go. A spider knows how to build a web. A bird knows many of the basics of survival without anyone teaching it. Their brains are prepared for a specific environment. Humans took a completely different path. Instead of filling the brain with fixed instructions before birth, evolution left room for something else: learning. A human baby doesn't arrive knowing exactly how to survive. It arrives ready to absorb an entire world. Language, culture, social rules, technology, everything that makes humans different is built during years of development. And this comes with a huge cost. A human child stays dependent for an incredibly long time. A horse becomes independent within months. Many animals can survive shortly after leaving their mother. Humans need years, sometimes decades before they can fully function on their own. From a purely biological perspective, this seems inefficient. Why create a creature that requires so much protection? Because humans are not designed for one environment. A polar bear is perfectly adapted for the Arctic. A camel is built for the desert. But a human can live almost anywhere on Earth. A child born in a frozen village and a child born on a tropical island start with the same unfinished brain, but they can grow into completely different people. They learn the rules of whatever world they enter, and that ability changed everything. But there was another problem. A helpless baby requires constant attention. A newborn cannot simply follow its parents and survive. It needs someone to carry it, feed it, protect it, teach it. And that pressure may have changed the way humans evolved socially. Unlike most animals, humans became cooperative parents. Raising a child stopped being only the mother's responsibility. Grandparents helped. Siblings helped. Other members of the group helped. Human survival became a team effort. Some scientists believe this played a major role in shaping our social intelligence. The same brain that allows us to understand other people, cooperate, and build complex societies may have developed partly because human babies were so difficult to raise. But there's an even stranger part of the story. Human babies are not just helpless. They are designed to make adults protect them. Their large eyes, round faces, small noses, big foreheads. These features trigger a powerful response in the human brain. Scientists call this baby schema. It creates feelings of affection and care even before we consciously think about it. In a way, evolution gave human babies a survival tool. They couldn't run away from danger. They couldn't fight. They couldn't find food. So they evolved a different weapon. They became impossible for many adults to ignore. And yet, the biggest advantage of being born unfinished appears much later. Because childhood is not just a period of weakness. It's a period of construction. Children spend years playing, experimenting, making mistakes, and learning. What looks like wasted time is actually the brain training itself. Every game teaches something. Every conversation builds connections. Every mistake becomes information. A human child spends years creating a mental model of the world, and that long learning process may be the reason humans became capable of things no other animal can do. We don't just react to our environment, we reshape it. We create tools, stories, science, art, civilizations. All of this came from a species that begins life unable to survive alone. Human babies look like nature made a mistake, but the truth is almost the opposite. Evolution didn't create a weak beginning because it had no choice. It created a flexible beginning because flexibility was more powerful than instinct. The helpless newborn in your arms is not a failed version of an adult. It's an unfinished possibility. And that unfinished brain is the reason humans became the species that could change the entire planet.